As you know, first of all, in SQL, you need a table to do any of the operations over the database on the database table with the records. So first of all, the statement that comes in is a create table statement. And there are two ways by which you can create a table. The first one is you can directly do a create table and then the qualified table name. And I'll suggest you to use a qualified table name everywhere in the SQL, just because you never know which library is in the precedence in the library list or however it executes. So first of all, let's try to create something in the QTemp. Is there a PIO-LIB library over here?
No.
There is none. Yeah. So we'll start with the PIO-LIB library. So the statement will be create table and then the table name will be qualified with the library name. And let's say our table will be TBL1. Okay. And the first way is the generic way where we provide the column names for the table, the structure that the table will be having. So let's say we have our first column as ID. It is of character type, character, and then length, sort of. And the next column be name character type, then. So here you have option to provide the record format name as well. While you create a DDS, you obviously provide the record format name, isn't it? So by using the SQL queries, the way that you provide the record format name will be after closing the bracket of the table name, at the end you provide the record format name. Let's say our table's record format name will be TBLR and your table will get created. If any unique keys or primary keys are to be mentioned, specified, then you can provide it within this ending bracket of the table name. Okay, here you can provide the unique key as a primary, and then the column name primary key, and whatever the column, let's say ID, that will be a primary key in that case. Now that our table is created, we'll let's insert some values over here. Okay, set into PILIB TBL1 values. You'll have to provide values in case you are explicitly providing the values of the record values for the table. So the values will be, since there are two columns and character type will specify in a single quote, which will be 1, 2, 3, and the name will be something like XYZ. And if you have to specify multiple values, then you can use comma and then the same structured layout as 3, 4, 5, 6, and then comma, and within again single quotes there will be another name. Let's say SAQ. This is how you insert values explicitly. Now another way of creating a table is either you can just do a create table, the table name PIO LIB slash sample one. Okay, this will be our sample table one. And in case you are not providing a structure and you are directly taking data from another table, then you'll have to specify as. And then you can provide the select statement for the another table from where we need to fetch data and get it inserted into our new table, which we are creating in the runtime. So that will be select star from PIOLIB slash TBL1. Okay. If you need the data along with the structure of the PIOLIB TBL1, then you'll have to specify here at the end as with data. In this case, if you specify with data, then the table that will be created will be having the records of the table that you have specified here. And here you can also specify the condition whether you need a filtered record to be inserted into your newly created table or not. Where condition could be provided over here, or any subqueries to filter out a specific set of records that you need in your newly generated table. Now that we have our table with the data, so we can check it. So select star from PILIB slash sample one, and it will show you those two values. In case you do not require data, just the structure, then you can specify here at the end as with no data. Now this is entirely focused on the IBMi DB2. Okay, let's change the table name. So what this will do is it will not have any data, but just the structure from where you are referring to. Okay. So this is related to the create table command. If required, what happens is in few of the programs, what we do is in RPG programs, we basically use temporary tables, and that same set of program could be used in parallelly as a batch jobs. So what happens is if a temporary table has been created in QTemp library and the same set of program has been run again in another batch job, so it will try to create one more table in QTemp. So in that case, what you could use is either create, in that create table, you can add one more keyword, create or replace. So what this will do is, if it is created, then it's fine. If it is if it's created, then it will replace that table as well. Otherwise, it will just create that table. So that's why this or replace has been provided in IBM DB2. Okay, this is how it works. And the next thing will be insertion. So insertion, as you have seen, that insert into explicit values could be provided if you are explicitly providing values to be inserted into a table. Otherwise, what we can do is, if we are fetching records from another table that could be inserted into our concerned table, then we just need to provide as insert into our table name, which will be sample12. So, and here, since we are not explicitly providing the record values, so directly we can start with the select statement for getting records from another table. Okay, select star from PIULIP TBL1. This case also records will be inserted. Now what you can do here is you can also filter out selective records from this PIULIB TBL1 so that it could be inserted into your concerned table as per requirement as you feel it's safe. Okay, so this is about the insertion. Now there is one more thing that and it is been used programmatically most of the time because the data structures come into place. So what we do is, in that case, when data structures are in the concern from where we'll be inserting data using SQL RPGLE program, so what we do is we directly write statement as insert into the table name, which will be PIULIB slash sample1, and in our case, what I am mentioning here is the scenario where we are using an array data structure, means multi-dimensional array data structure. Okay, it's not a multi-occurrence type; it's an array data structure. So in that case, what we do is we specify the number of rows that we need to be inserted from the data structure. In that case, it will be four rows, and then we do values, and then we specify the data structure as a host variable. Let's say this is the DS. So this is how we do it programmatically. But since we are using this str SQL session, we do not need it. Okay, in here. And it will work, it will not work as well because we do not have the data structure concept in the SQL interactive session. Okay, and this was all about the insert. Now let's check which all table has data as of now. So let's start from IP. Sample 1 is having data. We'll insert for few more data into sample 1. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. Sorry for the interruption, guys. So we'll continue from where we left off. So it will be set into sample 1 and we'll provide explicit values. And that will be, let's say, 7, 8. And the name will be same as the first record. Okay. X, Y, Z. And I did it just to show how the update statement would work. Now, what we'll do is, let's check again the data from PIOLIB TBL1. Okay, so we have this 1, 2, 3 with XYZ and 4, 5, 6 with SAQ. And we also have this record for XYZ name in our sample 1 table with the ID as 478. Now in update, what you could do is a simple update will be update and then qualified table name, which will be PIOLIB and then sample 1. Okay. And you'll have to provide this keyword set so that it will set that particular column column value. Let's say our column that we'll be updating here is the ID one. And we need to update the ID for the name where the name value is SAQ. In that case, we'll be setting the ID to 999 and we'll provide the where condition over here. Always remember that whenever you update any table records, make sure you use this where condition to filter out certain set of records. And I would not recommend you to directly use this update statement without any where conditions, just because it will update all the records. If you try to hit enter, it will first show you warning that it will update or delete all the records in your file. So this is first place where if you have missed to place the where condition, you can get back from the screen. Just pay attention to the screen that which is being displayed. Okay, that will help you most of the time. Otherwise, the way that I was suggesting is you can always use a where condition where the name could be CQ. Sorry, it will be in caps. Okay, and when we hit enter, so you can see one record has been updated. We'll again check the data from sample one. Okay, here you can see the SQ value has been updated to 999. So this was a simple update statement. Whenever update is to be done, referencing a different file. Okay, let's say we have two set of files. One is file 1, another is a file 2. And if the requirement comes in that certain records from file 1 needs to be updated, which are having a common column in another table, which is file 2. Let's say we have this same structure, ID and name. Okay, so you can see that the table 1 is also having this ID as 123 and sample 1 2 table is also having this ID number as 123, not 123, maybe XYZ. The first column you can see ID 123 and name XYZ. Okay, and let's see the sample data from the table, which is sample 1. Mm, yeah, so we have this 123 and XYZ, the same record. Okay, now if they say that in file 1, whichever record is having ID number 123, the name as XYZ should be updated to the one belonging to the table 2, which is file 2. In this case, ours is having the same name as of now, XYZ. For more clarity, what I'll do is I'll update that name to a different one so that it will be easier for you to understand. Okay, ALIP sample 1. Sorry. We'll do a page down. It will show us a record. What I'll do is I'll change the name of this 123 ID number to WER. Okay. Take F3, enter, and that's all. Now that in our first table, which is TBL1, we have the record of the ID number 123 is having a name of XYZ. Okay. And in our another table, which is sample1, what we have is the ID number 123 is having the name as WER. Sample1 it is. Yeah. So in this case, if requirement comes in that whatever the ID numbers are matching in both the tables, the table 1 and sample 1, so we need to update the name in table 1 with the name which is present in sample 1. Means the WER as name which is present in sample 1 table for ID number 123, that name should be updated into the record in table 1 which is having the ID number as 123. So you will be facing this kind of update statements or requirements in near future. So what you can do here is you can use where exist in this case. Okay, so the statement will be the same as before, which is update qualified table name TBL1 set ID, not ID, sorry, name. Set the name. Set name is equal to, in this case what we'll do is, since the field name are the same in both the tables, we'll be using alias. I'm using alias as A for table 1, and so I'll be qualifying the field for table 1 as A dot name. Okay, this is how the DB manager will be able to understand that this field belongs to this table, table 1, and then it will be select B dot name. So PIULIB slash sample1 will provide the alias for this one as B, and we'll change it as B dot name. So that's this name field value will be taken from this sample table, which has been aliased as B. Okay, And here we can provide where where a dot id is equal to b dot id, the matching id values. Okay, and then again the update statement should have a where condition, where filter, as I told, otherwise means it's mandatory. Just agree that it's mandatory to use a where condition for update in the starting phase. Okay, and when you have some experience, you can use it as you require. And the where condition will be such that we'll be using exists. Where exists, ASTs. And then after where exists, the same statement will be again copied and pasted. This where condition, this where exists, is concerning this update statement. Okay, and this where condition, which is inside this select statement, is just for the selection of records, which needs to be provided here, the value selection, which will be updated to the name column of this table 1. This is just for the selection of that particular value, this where condition, and this where condition belongs for referring to the matched records from this sample 1 table. And here we'll provide B, and the same where condition that we have provided here, we'll copy and paste it down below. We hit enter, and then we'll check the values from PILIB and table 1. Then you could see that the name has been updated, okay, for the matching ID number. So this is the update part. Mostly you'll be encountering the requirements which are specific to simple where condition, a simple filter, and this is some of the special scenarios which you'll not be encountering very often. Okay, but make sure that you know this method as well, so that it will be used somewhere. The next thing is delete. So the delete works same as update, but we do not have to provide a keyword here as set something something. We directly use this where. From this where, we directly use the conditional thing for the delete statement. If you want to delete something, let's say we need to delete that first record which is having the ID name as 123. Not that specifically first record. We get a requirement that we need to delete the records from table 1 which are having a matching ID number in sample 1 table. So in that case, the same thing will be repeated, just the statement will be delete from. Okay. So it will be delete from the qualified table name, which will be TBL1, and then you can directly provide this whole where condition. Right. We paste it in the same condition beside that. Because it requires a set of column names for which a matching records will be gathered, so that it will delete those matching records only. That's why we will be providing a where condition within this where exists. Okay, where a dot id is equal to b dot id, and that's how we delete. B, okay. Got to specify the alias for sample 1 here. And this will not be a column name, I'm sorry. This will be either star, this can be either star, or this can be 1. The same thing. 1, why we provide 1 is just a true. it defines a true condition that a record has been found. The same thing means if you will be providing a star, so it will be this means that some value has been returned if values are returned, and it will take this whole part within this bracket as 1, which is true in electronics concept, and if it is a true, then it will delete that particular matched record. That's why you'll be seeing in some of the queries that they specify 1 here, if not star. So it's the same thing. You can either use a star or a 1. It's fine. Okay. Alias or table 1. All right. I hope this is clear to everyone till this point. And then the next thing that we'll go up to is a drop. Drop is just for removing a column, removing a table. Means we are deleting a table at all from a schema, a library. So you could use a drop table, and the table name qualified with the library name, which will be sample12. And you can hit enter, it will delete the entire table. Okay. The next thing is a rename statement. Rename is used for renaming a table which is already existing in a library. And what you can do is you can just rename that table name. You cannot change the library at all using this rename. So what you could do is rename table PIULIB sample1. The keyword is to or into, not sure. Let's see. Sample1 to just sample. Yeah, the keyword is to. So the sample1 has been renamed to sample, and that will be existing in the same library where sample1 was existing. Now if you need to check the values, then you can directly query for PIULIB sample. Okay. Now we'll come to our main section, which will be the select statement. The select statement is basically used to retrieve any information from any of the tables, any filtered records or unfiltered records from any particular table. So the basic select statement will be select star from the table name will be PIULIB TBL1. Okay. So it will show you all the records which is on a table. Now if we need to filter out a specific record, then let me use the sample table because it's having multiple records. Sample where ID is equal to 1, 2, 3. Okay. This will give you filtered result. Now that we do not have any, we just have a single record in table 1. Let me insert this another record from sample table to the table 1. Okay. Then we'll see how subquery works. From PILIP sample. Okay. Now what happens is most of the times they require you or we receive requirements to fetch records which are the same in both the tables, having a particular value in either column to be same, like the ID column here. So if both the tables having the ID column and have same values for a particular record, then they want to list them out. So in that case, what we could do is select star from PIULIB TBL1 where exists. Okay, so this is one of the method to list out the where exist, and I am telling you this in the first step just because I've shown you how where exist work with the update, and just because we also have joins, but the join will not work with the update statement in IBM IDB2. Okay, that's why I am going for the where exist first. And hey mama, can you pass me the control again? Yep, thanks. So it will be select. As I told, you can either use a star or one. Okay, you can either use one or you can either use star. Select star from or select one from. And since we'll be using two different tables with the same field names or column names, that's why you should always provide an alias. Just because I'll show you what happens if you do not use an alias. Okay. At from PIULIB slash sample where. Anyways, we need to provide the where condition within our subquery just for the record selection. So what it will do is when we provide the column names, okay, since the column are the same in both the tables, so just for the identification of the DB manager to which table the column belongs, what we'll do is we'll qualify it with the table name. So in first case, if you're not using an alias, then the table name will be directly qualified with the column name and sample dot id. What happens is, and sometimes the client database name could be a longer one, and when more subqueries come into picture, then the actual SQL statement becomes longer than it's usual, and most of the times it's also even confusing. Means everywhere you could see a table name, table name, table name. So that's how it goes if there are longer table names. So that is why we are using alias in this case. Means mostly I use. I'm not sure about others. So you can use any of the methods. Either you can use a table name as the alias or a proper alias name to the table, and you can qualify the field names with that alias. Okay, this will also give you the same result, but just for much more convenience for you to understand what the query is that has been written, I recommend to use the alias name to the table. So here you can see it will give you the same result. So that's why you use aliases to a table name. And okay, I'll show you what's the most simplest form of a SQL select statement if you're not having any tables, but we are just using explicit values for records, okay, to show. So in that case, what we use is in IBM IDB2, we have been provided with this keyword as values. What happens is if in values, you will provide anything in the structure, let's say I am using 1, 2, 3, comma, my name, let's use 2 records, okay. comma another structure that will be 256 and name will be test. Now you could see that for structuring what I have done is I have enclosed it within single brackets. Okay. And if you hit enter, so this is how it will appear in the structured format. Now if you need to use this explicit value as a table in the select statement, so what you can do is you can write here select star from, you can specify the table keyword so that it will consider this whole value or structured value as a table. Okay, and then in the end you can provide a closing bracket and the name to the table. Let's say A is the table, and if you hit enter, so this will show you the same values. Now if you need to provide the column names for that, then after the table I think you'll have to specify what those values are, which is ID and name. So as you can see, the column is having this name now, which is the ID column and the name column. So previously it was appearing as values. Let me run that query again. Okay. This is it. So here you can see this is being shown as values and values. Now what happens is if you're trying to run or use this query as a subquery in another select query, let's say we will be using this as a subquery as of now. Let's say select will create another select query over this query, which will be select star from PIULIB TBL1 Mahima will need your help again. I'm stopping the control. Please give me control again. Thank you. Will be table 1, and when we try to get a value from table 1 which is having a same ID number from this explicitly provided structured records, then in that case we won't be able to select, just because the where condition which is required, it will not be able to detect an ID column from this table, the one where we have explicitly provided the values, because we have not mentioned the name of the column for which we are structuring those values. That's why we will not be able to fetch the record which is similar to both of them having the same ID number. Okay, and that's why we are using this column names as well with the table. It would be where exists and then select star from table A. Here we'll provide ID and name. So the table name is A for this one, and we'll provide a where condition within that. I'm sorry, I'll have to change the alias just because the table name is A already. Where b.id is equal to a.id. Let's see if it works. Out b. Okay, so these two are the records which is having a common ID name in both the tables. So that's why it filtered out these two columns. Okay, so this is how we use explicitly records in any subqueries or as a table structure as well. Now the most convenient to use subquery is the with clause. Starts with the with clause. So what we do is let's say the table structure which is there within this where exists. I'll first of all initialize it as a sample table name. Okay, so that's how we use the with clause. I'll be using this. I'll copy this one. Sorry, not the where condition. And I'll paste this one here. Paste it here with the values, and I do not need a where condition. Sorry. Okay, so if we hit enter here, this will give us the structured result. Now what we'll do is here, uh, in the first line we'll specify with a sample table name that you feel convenient to use, let's say T1. Okay, T1 as this whole structure. So what it will do is it will consider these whole explicit values to be a sample table, temporary table. It will not create a table, but it will consider it. And while in runtime, it will make sure that this was considered to be a table, and the rest of the succeeding statements could use this as a table, this value. Now how that can be done is, in the next statement we can write a select star from PIULIB slash TBL1, alias will be A, where exists, let's start from T1. Now that in the succeeding statements we'll be using this alias name that we are giving into this structure. Okay. And then our sample where condition where a dot id is equal to b dot, not b, sorry, t1. It's already t1 as a small name, that's why you could use t1 dot id. That will be fine. So here you can see it will be fetching us the same result, but the subquery we have used it as an temporary table in our whole select statement. Now with this kind of sequencing of the queries, you could use multiple sequencing or multiple sample tables, and then at the final you can write a single select statement. And you can also refer, in that case what you can what will be helpful is you can refer how the table values are getting extracted from. Means this is one of the sample query from where values is getting extracted and being labeled as T1 table, and then it goes on like that. Means if you need to add another thing, like uh, if you were to use another sample table, let's say, okay, so in that case what we'll do is you'll have to provide here comma and the table name, let's say T2 as. Now you'll be yeah, you can see here that I have used the with keyword just the first time where I'm using a name to the structure of a query. Okay, for the next time you can directly use the name of the structure as you feel like. So that will be T2 for me, and then S, and then you can select anything. Let's say select star. It is select star from PIULIB TBL1, where ID equals to 23. Let's select this record from the TBL1, and now that in the final select statement will be the one that you need to see the result for. All of this will be the temporary ones. Okay, in the final select statement, let's say I need to do a union of both the results for T1 and T2. Then what I'll do is select star from T1 union all. Uh, The final query, if required, if you need to use data from the aliases or the temporary structures, then you can do that directly, or you can use a table and then do a where exist over that temporary structure that you have just created. So that's how it works. Okay, and that will be select star T2. Now what union all does is, even if both the records in table 1 and table 2, let's say the ID and name is 1 2 3 and XYZ in both the tables, table T1 and T2. So in that case, if you do a union all, it will give you two records for from one from the table 1 means T1 and one from T2. If you just do a union, then it will show you or extract just one record for that duplicate. So that's how union all and union works. Okay. If I hit enter, then you could see this one. Another thing is, if I just want to see the ID number so that it will be more clear for you on how union all and union works. Okay, let's go for just the ID. And T1 and T2. So you could see there are two values for 1 2 3. One belongs to T1, another belongs to T2. Okay. So in case of union all, if I do a union, then it will just show us a unique value, a unique record for that, no duplicates. Here you can see just one record for 1 2 3. So union, what it does is, how can I explain? Okay, so there are values as 1 2 3 and some structure is there. Okay, let's say the structure is A B C, and another column will be, let's say, phone number. Okay, this is the structure of one table. Let's say first is ID number, second is name, and third is phone number. And another table is having, let's say, ID number, and the next column be name, B C D. But the third column is not phone number, instead it's a department. Okay, this is how the structure means. If the structure is not same for both the tables, then you could not use a union or a union all. It needs to, for using union or union all, it needs to have a similar structure to both the tables. So in that case, if you want to check a union or union all, then you'll have to select the particular columns which are having which are common in both the tables and in the same sequence. For example, if here it's a ID, I mean, let's say this one will be table 1 and this one will be table 2. Okay, in this case, if you want to do a union or a union all, then you'll have to select ID and then name from table 1, and then you could do a union all or union, and the next statement would be select ID and name in the same sequence from the another table. Okay, so this will work, but if you try to use a star over here, then it will not be executable. It will throw error for union or union all. To use a star or anything else, it says that the structure is not similar for both of them, then this will be an error type. Okay, I hope this is clear to everyone. And if there is any question, I think this is all I wanted to cover for the first session. And if there is any question relating to all this, then you can bring it up here, or you may ping me over Teams. Everything's fine. Please raise questions if you have any. Okay, I accept that there's no questions for this session. All right, then we'll meet in next session then. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.